And the third thing is probably the hardest. And this is the one where triathletes really struggle. And what you see all the time when you take triathletes into a pool like that is when they put their hand in the water, they typically put their hand in the water this way. And they wind up with their elbow below their wrist. So it's kind of like that. And when you get in this position, you have no choice but to push down on the water, and you don't really grab or feel any pressure on your hand until you get to about here. And so the stroke actually became very short. They may have reached a long ways, but because they're in that position, they really can't take advantage of their length. All they're going to do is push down on the water until they get to here, and then they'll finally start to push themselves forward. So what we try to teach them to do is to feel like you get this thing going with your hand. So when the hand enters the water, we're going to feel pressure. You can see his wrist is that way. It's hard to see because of the water, but he's got a bend in his wrist right here. So he's got his hand in that position. He's catching water. Now, in the pool, a good swim instructor will tell you to think about high elbow and what they call, I'm not sure if you do it here, but we talk about in the United States is reaching over the barrel. Like there's a barrel here and we're trying to reach over it so we can get in this position, and it's called high elbow. And triathletes have a very, very hard time learning that. In fact, anybody who takes up the sport of swimming, they find that's the hardest thing there is to learn. And for years, every time they have an instructor tell them what to do, the instructor will say, high elbow. Try to get in this position as you're pulling the water, because what they typically do is they do this. They just push down on the water. That's what triathletes want to do, is push down on the water. So what you want to learn to do is to put your hand in the water with your wrist already bent, so you can start to pull immediately. If you get your hand in that position, you can't get your elbow too low. Your elbow is going to be up just by getting your hand in that position. So it's very simple to think about your wrist. Your elbow is hard to get right, but your wrist is very easy to get right. So just put your hand in that position. As soon as it enters the water, do that, and now you've got your elbow high, and you can pull against the water. You can do something with it. So that's the three things that I try to teach swimmers to do to improve their technique. We've had, last year, at all of our camps, we had all of our swimmers on day one swim 1,000 meters for time. Then the rest of the week, we worked on their technique every day. And the last day of the camps are typically 7 days. The last day of the camp, we swam 1,000 meters again. Every triathlete improved 1,000-meter times last year in all of our camps by working on just these three things. That's all we worked on, just these three things. Okay, let's talk about the bike.